the C0 is a nerfed version of what the unit is supposed to be. And to that, I will say, no. Heyo YouTube, Flowcat here, and before we jump into this serious video, just want to say I hope everyone's enjoying 2.5, and I hope that you get the unit that you're wishing for. We've had some pretty good luck in my community so far, and my viewer summons went pretty well. And now we need to talk about something completely different. Yaimiko has released, and to my surprise, there's doom posting, and there's all of this critique going on right now of Yaimiko's kit. And this has got me thinking yet again about community expectations and how we approach the release of these units. So to start things off, I'd just like to tell you a little story. A unit is announced in Genshin Impact. Everyone gets really hyped up for the unit because they look cool, and then the unit gets leaked, and people start preparing wildly for the unit because they love them, or they start to become doubters, and they start doom posting about how the unit is not going to live up to expectations. Then, the unit is released, and people furiously build them at rapid speed and throw them into the abyss, testing them in any manner of situations that they can think of. And through all that testing, people split into two camps. One camp that thinks the unit is bad or poorly designed or just not good or whatever, clunky. And then another camp that thinks they're good, that thinks they're not bad, that thinks they're awesome or whatever. Now, this story might sound familiar to you because this has happened for Kazuha's release, this has happened for Kokomi's release, this has happened for Yoimiya's release, this has happened now for Yaimiko's release as well, and this even happened for Raiden. Even though she's dearly loved now, when she first released, her reception wasn't that great, and still now there's really strong opinions about her being a bad unit at C0. So what's going on here? I mean, I've been thinking about this quite a lot, and I'm pretty sure that I know the answer. And the simple truth is that most of the community expects every new unit to be either an earth-shattering main DPS, or an earth-shattering sub-DPS, or a DPS, or a hyper carry. Now, when I play video games, I actually tend to play supports. I love healers, I love tanks, I love utility classes, because I think that their gameplay is more interesting than just, you know, doing a lot of damage. Not that I dislike DPS units, I still like them too, but I love my healers, I love my CC units, and I love playing supports in general. So when Kazuha came out, I was so excited for him. He's a damage amplifier, he has an amazing E ability that allows him to leap into the air, and his CC is really effective. Not only that, but he can infuse his burst with elements to help apply them on the field for your team. Kokomi, when she came out, I was very excited for her, even before her dedicated set, because she's a healer and she's a hydro applicator. And for freeze teams, my favorite team, that's exactly what I needed. She helps me with survivability so much that it's like having Zhongli on my team. I just can't die. And so what am I saying here? I'm saying that like when Kazuha came out, the people that loved Kazuha tried to make him into a main DPS. And so their opinion of him was kind of crappy. And other people just didn't really value his support capabilities until later in the release when more testing was done. And the same thing with Kokomi. When Kokomi came out, people tried to turn her into like a vape DPS or something like that. They even tried to build crit on her to test out the max limits of her damage when she's literally a healer. It's like her role, you know? And driver comps can work very effectively for Kokomi, but again, that's because she's a driver and not a main DPS in that role. I mean, let's consider Ito, for instance. His release went really well. When he came out, there was almost no doubt about how strong he was. People built him up, he did a lot of damage, and everyone was really happy with him. And now that we're talking about it, he was pretty much the only unit released in Inazuma that had like a good reception amongst the player base and the community in total. Everyone else had all of this doubt and doom posting and oh they suck and oh they're not good, oh wait now they're good, and oh wait maybe they're not good, and it's just ridiculous to me. My experience with Genshin Impact has been that every unit is viable. There has not been a single unit that I haven't found use for. And yeah, that includes Xinyan, Chi-Chi, Barbara, and units that people just think are trash or unusable. Like, they are usable. I've used them and they work well. Now, I wanted to address that first thing where everyone seems to expect every unit coming out to be like a main DPS, and if they're not, they're just like in a whirlwind of doom posting and frustration. But I also wanted to address one more thing. And recently I've heard people saying this thing where like, if you're a content creator and you tell people, poll whoever you want, you know, blah, 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 then you're not adding any value, and what you're saying has no value and it's meaningless and blah, blah, blah. But actually, I want to respond to that because I think that's kind of ridiculous. For instance, I tell people to poll whoever they want, but I also tell them to consider things like team building. Because believe it or not, with all the talk about specific individual units, Genshin at its heart is a team building game. And so there are units, even 5 stars in the game, that play a variety of roles, like supports, healers, sub DPS, and yeah, the occasional main DPS or hyper carry. But if you understand team building, and if you understand how to optimize your units properly, then you can play whoever you want in the game. And I don't think that that's like a silly or like a stupid or naive thing to say. If anything, I think it's kind of silly when content creators try to create like a poll value or like a primogem value for each unit, because they all play different roles, and just like you're comparing like a sub DPS to a main DPS and a healer, and it just doesn't really make sense to compare them all like that. Genshin Impact is a team building game, and you should pull the units that you need to complete your teams and units that you like that also complete your teams. Sometimes that's a main DPS, sometimes that's a utility unit, sometimes it's like a healer, a shielder. But yeah, I think it's kind of wrong to tell someone that they shouldn't pull for a unit just because it's not worth it enough for you. Oh, and I actually lied to you all. There's one more thing I want to address. People might be watching this video and screaming in the back of their heads. It's not that I thought that their role was something else, it's just that they're not good enough. The C0 is a nerfed version of what the unit is supposed to be. And to that, I will say, no. If every new unit that comes out breaks through the power ceiling that we have and makes a new meta, then not only does the game get very confusing very fast, but also older units that we love and we've built up would be completely useless by now. I think that it's wonderful that Genshin Impact has created a power ceiling and a balancing method where every unit has its strengths and weaknesses. They're not perfect. They're not designed to be perfect. They're designed to have a specific thing that they're really good at, and then have some drawbacks to their use to make them rely on team building. I'm gonna say it again. Genshin Impact is a team building game. And when you notice that a unit has a specific set of weaknesses, try to find other units that compensate for those weaknesses. I guess what I'm trying to say is no one unit is going to solve all of your problems. Like Ganyu, for instance, she's a fantastic unit, but you still need supports like Zhongli or Kazuha or Benny or Zhongling. So basically these 3 things. I'm gonna stop the video with these 3 points. These are the only points I'm gonna make today. Not every unit needs to be a DPS unit. Supports are great, and they are going to be some of the longest living units in the game because they're hard to outclass. 2, recommending that players play whatever units they like is not saying that meta doesn't matter or optimizing doesn't matter. It's not just a blank message full of nothing. What I'm saying is that Genshin Impact is a fantastic game where you can use any unit you want for their specific role, and they will do that job well. In fact, you can clear all the content in the game with any unit in their role in a well-built team. And I think that that gives a lot of information about the kind of game that Genshin Impact is. For all the variety of units that there are, they're all viable. They all have their place. They all have their spot in the game, even if they're not just the best or whatever. But yeah, that's gonna wrap this video up. I know that my tone might have been a little bit different today. Just been a bit frustrated with people not letting others enjoy the release of a new unit, and I'm not quite sure why we have to be so hypercritical of every single new unit. I know that they cost a lot of resources, but we should all kind of expect that at this point. And if you have any doubts about a unit, you should wait to pull them until you find out more about them, until they've been tested more and we have more information about how they work and what their place is in the game. So yeah, if you're new here, I would love it if you would drop a like on the video, pretty please. Also sub, and you will get regular Genshin content, live streams, and videos. And I've got a super friendly Discord. We will help you with building your teams, optimizing your units, and you can make some friends while you're there. The link to that will be in the video description and pinned in the comments as well. And as always, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Peace, everybody.